Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Micah Stevens, and in today's video we're going to be talking about laying out your glider. It is a very fundamental skill that a lot of pilots seem to lack even right out of training. It's one of those things where if you begin correctly, you are likely to end correctly, and that end goal is getting into the air safe and sound, right? You really want to take your time getting this glider laid out, detailing it properly, and getting things kind of primed, as I like to say, for this nice inflation. Let's dive into the video, guys. I've got my lovely wife, Ariana, demoing how to lay out a glider in just the right way. So let's check it out. So she's putting the wing with the center cells away from her and the lines as she pulls the lines out. And that's an important step. Spreading the wing out laterally could pull those risers and drag them across the ground. We want to make sure we're not pulling those risers all the way out with the lines so that we can have some space to actually pull the wingtips away, which she's going to demonstrate now. So she goes right for the wingtip, and she's just going to be pulling it away from the center cells, the center opening cells, and that's going to give us a nice start to this layout. She's gonna find the other wingtip now by finding the leading edge with those cell openings. She's just pulling those cell openings away from the center cells as she finds her wingtip, and then she's just gonna give it a little tug. So now the wing is roughly laid out, right? We've got the wingtips out and away, and this shape is what the glider takes in the air. So if you can make this shape on the ground, it's going to be a more seamless, easy transition from the ground to the air. So now let's check out what she does. She's going to come back to her center cells, and she's going to pull them straight back. As she fluffs the trailing edge, you can see how the trailing edge kind of lifts as she does that fluff action. This is just making it so the whole underside of the glider is facing the sky. She's pulling that center cell straight back to give it an even deeper V to this horseshoe shape. She's actually kind of pulling that horseshoe into a V. And the reason being is that when you go to inflate your glider, you're holding on to the center A's, right? So as you inflate the glider, those center A's are getting tension first, and the center A's are attached to the center of your glider, the center third of the leading edge. So as she pulls those back, it's allowing that to inflate first. As the wing pressurizes all throughout the glider, Emmett giving his 2 cents there, it's going to pressurize gradually. It's not going to be inflating all at once, which can be quite difficult, especially here in Buena Vista where we're launching at almost 9,000 feet. Okay, Emmett's going to join me for the rest of this video, it sounds like. Alright, so now she's going to her risers and she's going to detail her lines. She's going to start by unmarrying the heads there. So whenever I stow my glider away, I've got the heads put together. If we put the heads of the snakes together, they can't bite. My wing isn't going to be able to get tangled up with the bridles stuck into each other. Alright, so now she's going to lift the risers up. She's putting one riser through her arm, kind of a pro move there, and then she's pulling the brake lines first. She's going to give those brake lines a tug, and she's going to pull those directly away from the wing. And you can see how that kind of pulls the trailing edge towards her and lays that nice and flat. And it also kind of helps separate all the rest of the lines. So if your brake line is detangled from the rest of the lines, 9 times out of 10, all the other lines are just going to kind of fall into place. She's sticking that riser into her arm, lifting up the other one as she checks this other line set, starting with the brakes and the tip line as well. On the Kona and the Spider, or if you've got a wing with tip steering, you're going to have another brake line to kind of deal with there. That's your tip line. But she's starting at the base of the line at each malleon, and then she's pulling it down and away to clear it out. Lifting it up to give it one more check, and then taking 2 steps in to give slack to the glider. This is an important step because as we go to inflate the wing, this open space that you're running through is kind of like taking a defibrillator to the wing. We want to get that wing up and through the power band and over your head as soon as possible. The other thing it can help with is if it's pretty windy, you go to clip into your glider, what can happen is it'll actually inflate as you try to clip in. This is with winds that are 10 miles an hour or greater. You just don't want to inadvertently inflate that glider before you're really ready to, right? So it just doesn't look cool. And come on, that's the most important part, right, Emmett? Yeah. She's taking those 2 steps in, and then she's gonna lay the risers out with the A's away. And this, at this point, is personal preference, but this is how I like to lay out my risers and then clip in. So we're going to put the A's away with the brakes to the inside, and I like to kind of detail this and exaggerate the splay of the risers so that when I come over with my motor on and maybe I accidentally bump the riser, I want to be really sure that those risers are still laid out properly. Just going to have more structural integrity to the layout of that riser. Love is in the details, and that's kind of one thing I like to focus on, is just really getting a good layout of my wing as well as the risers and trying to eliminate any squirrely lines that are low to the risers. Okay, so now we've got the risers and the lines detailed. The wing is roughly laid out. But what we're going to do now is go back to the wing, give this wing a little primer. Just like we would prime our engine, we can also prime our wing, and I'll show you what I mean here. Now she's coming to a wingtip to pull directly away from the center cell. And you'll see as she does this, it kind of props the leading edge up and into the wind. The center cells, where those center A's are connected to, are already facing into the wind. They're already kind of pre-gulping, as I like to say, that airflow, and it's going to be really ready to climb through that power zone and get over your head in a quick and efficient manner, and with as low of a heartbeat as possible on your end. The more calm and collected you can stay during the inflation process, the smoother and more surefire your launch is going to be. Okay, so guys, we just watched my lovely wife demonstrate how to lay out the glider, taking your time and diligence and getting that wing primed and ready to go. I now want to show you how easy it can be when you have enough wind and you can hand kite your glider up and off the ground and laying it down perfectly, hopefully. And hand kiting really does 3 things for us very well. It allows us to give a little quick pre-flight inspection to that glider, making sure you don't have any holes that appeared overnight in the wing. Make sure that the shotgun rounds you took on your last flight didn't do too much damage to your wing. And it also allows you to see exactly where that wind is coming from. So the wing will kind of weather vane right into the wind. And then, last but not least, you can lay that glider down perfectly. So here I am, guys, inflating the glider when it's not laid out really at all. I've just pulled the wingtips apart just a little bit and got the leading edge cells just exposed a little bit. And then I'm just gonna tug on these A's a little bit. The wing's gonna try to taco. I'm gonna pump on those A's and pump on the brakes, get that leading edge all the way open and crisp and clean. And now the wind is kind of pulling the glider exactly away from me downwind. And simultaneously, as I lay that glider down, you can see that the leading edge is still propped up a little bit. It's still primed, ready to go. Since it's coming from the air, as you lay it down, it's in a perfect horseshoe shape. It's ready to go when you are. Hand kiting can be a really nifty skill. We're not going to talk too much about the nitty-gritty details in this video. I'll do a separate video for hand kiting. But just to show you guys, if you have the skill to hand kite and you have enough wind, it can be the fastest, most effective, cleanest layout you'll get. That was today's video, guys. I hope this helps improve your inflations and ultimately your launches as you go out to the field next time. As a disclaimer, I am not here to replace in-person instruction. Please go get training from professional people. I highly recommend Aviator PPG. It's where I came from and have been instructing for the last 3.5 years. They really do a great job with the curriculum and they care about you as a person. Okay, and last but not least, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're interested, check me out on Patreon. The link is in the description below, but you can sign up for some added benefits to help your progression in the sport happen that much more efficiently and effectively and safely. So check that out, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.